Good morning, Saturday morning, and welcome to Join the Dots. Now, as I ended yesterday's show, I said to you, guess today's t-shirt colour. I shouldn't think many got this one. But the strange thing is, it's very apt, and that's my life. I find that I do things at the right time in the right place, weirdly. So why am I wearing a Union Jack shirt? Well, part of the fun of guessing the colour, but more importantly, I'm going to bring you a whole show today that shows you that flags are really important. Nations are important. And this is what we find, I think we find, is going to split this world and thus markets into bits. And I mean bits, okay? So let's try and go through this logically. The other week we saw a guy in a big US sports event, I think it was football, but it could have been baseball, being ejected from the stadium for wearing a MAGA hat. So this is not a UK thing, it's not only a US thing, this is a global issue. And we're seeing it across countries, we're seeing it across the EU, we're seeing it in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK, and we're seeing it in the US. There is a drive to completely divide society, split it, because when you divide something, you can rule it. When it's united against you, you can't. And we can see that in the politics of the US. We can see the Trump's approval ratings now versus Biden's disapproval ratings. And we can see it in the UK with Reform's approval ratings and Starmer's disapproval ratings. It is not a UK-centric issue, it's not a US-centric issue, it's a global issue where, for want of a better word, the globalists have been exposed. And now the economies of the world are going to have to deal with the consequences of the public uprising against the globalist agenda. And no more so are we going to see this than in the bond markets. And I talked this week about the bond markets, didn't I? And I said how important they were and gave you the Japanese example of what a crisis level we're at. Now today, I've got some incredibly good links for you, okay? I could talk about this for 10 hours, so I'm going to try and condense it. I've got some links which will help you understand it. The first link is to a Coinbase advert, shilling the UK. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. You must watch it. It's only a few minutes. It's just so apt. So, what it does is, like all comedy, all good comedy, exposes hypocrisy. It exposes idiocy, lunacy. It exposes stupidity. And they can all be wrapped up in ideology. It exposes it, okay? It's all relevant because as we go through these crises, one after another, we're going to see events just spiral out of control. And that means it exposes the weakness of the financial markets. You see, some people won't join these dots. I will join the dots every time. Because when I see one thing, I can join the dots to 5 or 6 others. Why? Because I've spent 5 years sifting through this ridiculous amount of nonsense that we're sold to find the truth and then put those dots together. And when something happens, I can join the dots quite quickly because I've got 5 years of doing it. Whereas most people are just trying to do it now because they realise something is just fundamentally wrong in this world. Okay, so the Coinbase advert, I honestly hope you'll watch that because it's terrific. Okay, and kudos to Coinbase. The second link I'm going to give you is to Mario, okay, of Manico64. And he talks about another UK sovereign debt crisis. Okay, it's coming. Now, I was there in '92, and in my role then, I was incredibly long dollar against sterling, having bought at every rate above 2. Every time it went above 2, I bought. Sold a lot at 142 after the ERM exit. I joined the dots. It's easy to join the dots if you're looking for them, but if you're distracted, deflected, if your attention's taken away, you can't join the dots because you can't see the dots to join. It's just that simple. So Mario, it's a very good piece. Another UK sovereign debt crisis. Now, that was joined by Market Sniper. And I think I've mentioned Market Sniper before. This is the third link I'm going to give you. It's really important you do look at these, see if you get a chance. And it's the weekend, so see if you can. See if you can get a chance, okay? Market Sniper. Rates surge, house prices plunge. Yes, that's right. That is what will happen, okay? That is what will happen. Rates will surge because of uncertainty, because of lack of credibility of the government. The popularity ratings I just gave you are the worst on record, okay? So what will happen is at some point the market will see that the UK is the weakest link in the global financial system of very, very weak links everywhere. And it will attack the UK bond market like it did with Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng. Okay, it will attack them. And when it attacks, there's not much to defend them. There's no political defence, there's no defence. There's no economic defence, there's no judicial defence, there's no police defence, because the police are now maniacs. The British police, let me give you an example, joining the dots. So, 2 police lady officers were sent out in running gear with very, very tight gear. 18 arrests were made from people who whistled or hooted their horn on their car or said something. Can you believe it? 18 arrests were made. Now I join the dots, I say, well, that's entrapment. If you're going to send people out in a provocative manner, you're going to get a reaction. Reminds you of January the 6th, doesn't it? If you can stir up a crowd that is clearly emotional to the point where you get them to move, and they were told to move to the capital by that gentleman, I can't remember his name now, and then of course the doors were opened, and then they were allowed in. They didn't force their way in, they were allowed in. One window was broken, that's all. The doors were opened. Why? Because they wanted them to be in there. Entrapment. So what we're seeing is that that's one of the last refugees or last refuge of a failing establishment, is to use entrapment. So here the British police are now entrapping people, whistling or hooting their horn on their car, and arrested 18 people. It's bizarre. Beyond bizarre. Anyway, let's come back to the economics. So, Market Sniper, please, again, if you get the chance, he's ever so good. He's ever so good, this guy. Okay, so it's a great link to follow for the future, because I will introduce you, you then follow it, because we're trying to get the truth. We're only trying to get the truth, all right? And then I've got a fourth link here, houses in the UK. Now, this goes back to what I presented earlier in the week, where I said to you that BlackRock had been buying houses at the peak of the pandemic. In 2020, when people were most disturbed, BlackRock thought it was clever to go out and buy swathes of property, and now they're selling them. Well, they've been doing that in the UK now for, I think it was 2017, the law was changed, and tax breaks were given to companies. And this allowed them to buy property as an investment. Again, depriving the person, depriving the human being who's trying to buy a home, depriving him such that he has to rent for the rest of his life and can't create any equity, can't create any wealth. So he dies poor, renting for the whole of his life. And when it comes to retirement, he's still renting. This sickness at the very top, this is a globalist. Honestly, I don't want to get too much into this, but it's a globalist plot to destroy the middle class and an awful lot of other people. It's to destroy them, to take away their whole wealth, their whole future. 100 episodes in this, so I won't spend too long on it. Okay. Now, this is not just a UK or US issue either. As I say, this is US, this is Canada rather, Australia, New Zealand. They're all going into housing slumps now, and their 10-year, 30-year rates are all rising, even though they're cutting rates. This is an economic crisis, and I'm giving you the background so that you can understand that when you start to join these dots, it's quite easy to see. Yeah, the law is out of control. Police are out of control. Police are entrapping people now by sending out scantily dressed police ladies to attract attention and get wolf whistles and then arrest them. It's sick, sad. It's the sign of a lost cause in its last throes. And when I say last throes, what I mean is economically that has to have an effect. And so economically we're in the last throes. The bond markets are screaming it, and as I said earlier in this week, the bond markets determine the stock markets. The bond markets will force the stock markets down. The bond markets at the moment are at a ridiculous level, but they're showing every sign of collapse. And those two articles, one from Mario, one from the Market Sniper, they're both talking about the UK sovereign debt market, but it's well beyond that. It's in every market, so join the dots, please. Okay, I'll come back to this again later next week. There's so much to give you. I hope I've given you the highlights there, and I hope you can start to join the dots. Okay, thank you very much.